Hey guys, I want to talk to you about line plots today. So this is, oh yuck, I'm in blue. Let's go to black. This is lesson 12-1. We're not going to spend a heck of a lot of time in lesson 12 or chapter 12, so we'll end up finishing this chapter kind of quickly. Just kind of introducing you to how visual displays of the statistics. So this is a line plot. And let me just give you a definition of what is a line plot. And so it's simply a visual display of data where each data value is shown as a dot or an X above a number line. So we talked about this last week, that another name for a line plot is a dot plot. So sometimes line plots use X's, sometimes they use dots. Bottom line is, the importance of this is it allows you to organize a lot of data quickly. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to make a line plot, and then we're going to make one, and then we'll also try to do a little bit of analysis. So a couple of things that we want to look for. Number one is we want to look for the minimum and maximum values. And the reason why we're interested in these is twofold. Part one, we want to know where the graph starts, so the beginning and end of the graph. Has to include these numbers. The second thing that's super important is we're going to look at the actual range. The range, which is the maximum minus the minimum, determines the intervals to count by. Smaller range, we're going to count by 1s and 2s. Kind of a medium range, 5s and 10s. Larger range, 25s, 50s, 100s, whatever it takes, okay? So once we know where we're going to begin, what we're going to count by, where we're going to end, then we're going to go ahead and create our bar graph. Create our number line. Create the number line. Okay? And then we're going to start plotting the data. And to do that, we make a dot or X for each number in the set of data. And remember what we talked about with dot plots. You're going to make sure that your dots are in perfect rows. So the first dot in each row lines up with the first dot in every other row. Okay? And then these dots and X's that you're going to make for each of the numbers in the set of data are going to be graphed above the number line. So You know how box plots are really floating above a number line? These are not floating, but they're not touching either, okay? All right. Now, a lot of times you're going to be asked to describe. So you know what? Actually, let me go back and I'm going to box in that word above. Make sure you get that out. So, some things you're going to be looking for. You'd be dealing with like an interpretation at this point. So what are the things that you're going to look for? One, you can look for the total responses, so how many people were involved. Remember on our quiz, a lot of people didn't look at how many dots there were in that dot plot. They just looked that there was 8 separate numbers that had dots. And so they thought when we were trying to figure out mean, they'd divide by 8. That's not how it works. It's each dot or X represents one number. So you have to count up all of those. So that's one thing you can do when you look at a dot plot or line plot. 2, we can look for the highest value. So that's going to be your maximum at the farthest right. And on the other side, you can look for the lowest value. So that's going to be your minimum. That's to the far left. And then the other thing that's really easy to find is the mode, and that's going to be your tallest bar, so to speak. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and do an example. I'm going to go to my next screen. And the directions here are going to say, create a line graph, or line plot, excuse me. Line graph is something different. Create a line plot from the data. Then describe the data in the graph. Oh, describe. Perhaps if I could spell today. Okay, so we're going to do a little table of values. So number of projects. Let's see, we've got 2, 4, 3, 3, 1. We've got 0, 5, 4, 2, 2. We have 1, 3, 2, 1, 2. So quick span, I see my numbers are going from 0 to 5. So that's pretty easy. We've got a minimum of 0. We have a maximum of 5. We have a range is going to be 5. Oops, 5. Thank you. So I'm going to count by ones. So I have to include 0 and I have to include 5. Everything should be evenly spread out. Okay, and then I'm going to make an X for every number as I see it. So I don't have to go in any particular order. I don't have to organize it from least to greatest. So I'm going to go from top row down to the bottom row. So there's a 2, a 4, a 3, a 3, a 1, a 0, a 5, a 4, a 2, a 2, a 1, a 3, a 2, a 1, a 2. Okay? So what I'm going to do is answer or talk about what do I see from the data set. Well, I can count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So there are 15 members who shared data. And for all I know, this, talking about number of projects, this could be students in, let's say, a core class. It could be members of, let's say, a do-it-yourself club. And it could be, over a month or 2 months. We don't know, but that kind of idea. No one did more than 5 projects, so that's talking about the maximum. Only one member didn't do a project. There's one X in the 0, so that's talking about your minimum. The most common number of projects is 2. So now we're talking about mode, okay? So those are some things that you can do as you're looking at your graph, okay? So let's go to the next screen. And so not only can you kind of look at those sorts of things, but here's basically, we can look at measures of center when we look at a line plot or dot plot. And that means, and we did this on our quiz, that you can find the median, the mode, and the mean. But you can also, as you noticed at the beginning there, you can also look at the measures of variation. Now, we're not going to be able to see all of them, but the key idea is we could find range very simply, and we could also see, literally see, the outliers, okay? They're going to be kind of estranged or away from the rest of the data. Okay, so we're going to do one more example, and this one is going to want us to do mean, median, mode, range, actually just median and mode, no mean, that's nice, range and outliers. So from the given plot, so this will be given to you. Find the median, mode, range, and any outliers of the data. Then describe it. Then describe the data. So let's see, my data is going to go from 16 to 25. So a little bit larger than what we had before. So let's see, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and I'm just going to go to 26. I'm going to shorten up this line just a little bit. And then I'm going to label every other number, just so it doesn't get too messy. We're going to have a title. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? No, we'll be good. This will be number of magazines sold. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and plot our data. We're going to have 1 at 17. We're going to have 2 at 18. We're going to have 5 at 20. we're going to have 3 at 23. We're going to have 1 at 24. And we're going to have 2 at 25. Okay? So I can tell from here that we had 14 responses. Because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 X's. Now, when I have 14 responses, if I'm looking for median, I'm going to be looking for the number that's in the middle. So median, I'm going to take the 14 and divide it by 2, which gives me 7. Now, because I have an even set of data, that means my median is going to actually fall between two numbers. So it's going to be between 7 and the 8th number. So the 7th number and the 8th number. So let's count from left to right, bottom up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here's where the median falls. It falls between 20 and 20. Lucky for us, we can calculate that, and that's going to give us 20. So 20 magazines. Okay. Then we're going to find the mode, and guess what? Mode is the same, because it's the tallest of the bars, so to speak, made. So that's also 20 magazines. We were asked to figure out the range. So that's going to be 25 take away 17, which would be 8 magazines. And so looking at this graph, we really don't have outliers. We've got clumps of numbers on both the left side and the right side. So when it comes to outliers, we're just going to say none. Now we could actually calculate it by doing quartile 1 and quartile 3 from the data and using our formula, IQR times 1.5, subtracting that from Q1 and adding it to Q3 to see if we have any outliers, but we're not going to. So here's my response. There are 14 responses to this survey. Okay. The median is 20. And here's what that means. So, half of the participants sold more than 20 magazines. Okay. And half sold less than 20 magazines. Makes sense. Oh, sorry, less than 20 magazines. The mode is 20. Which means more participants sold 20 magazines than any other amount. So notice I'm not just listing what the answers are, I'm also kind of giving an explanation what that would mean in this set of data. And then the range is 8. and there are no outliers. Sorry about that. And actually, with a range that size, that kind of explains why you wouldn't find any outliers. All right, we'll be going over this in class tomorrow. Have a great day.